Tonight on Y News, NBA legend Kobe Bryant and his daughter dies in a tragic helicopter crash in California. The death toll from the 2019 novel coronavirus outbreak in China rises to 80 people. Authorities in Wuhan rushes to build a new hospital to contain coronavirus patients. Two Filipinos in lockdown Jingzhou City, HUBEI province call for help as fears of coronavirus outbreak grows. Angat Dam's water level decreases, but authorities say it is still enough for Metro Manila's consumption. And alert level on Taal volcano lowered as some residents are cleared to return. Good evening. A shocking news of the death of a basketball icon made headlines around the world today. Retired NBA star Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash in Southern California, and local authorities are still investigating the cause of the tragedy. Mirasol Abogadil details why.
U.S. basketball legend Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna were among 9 people killed in a helicopter crash in the city of Calabasas, California. Bryant, 41, and Gianna, 13, were traveling to a basketball game in a private Sikorsky 76B helicopter when it came down and burst into flames. The LA County Sheriff said there were no survivors. Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Villanueva did not identify anyone on the flight, saying it was entirely inappropriate to do so at this time until the coroner made the identification to the next of kin.
We're going to wait till the coroner does their job, and we're assisting the families of those who believe they've been impacted, and it's a tough process.
The Sheriff's Office is also working with the National Transportation Safety Board and Federal Aviation Administration to determine the cause of the crash and have already secured the site.
Our team will be looking at the history of the pilot and whatever crew was on board. We'll be looking at maintenance records of the helicopter. We will be looking at records of the owner and operator of the helicopter and a number of other things that we look at as part of the investigation.
Meteorologists say the crash occurred under foggy and cloudy conditions with extremely low visibility. The effort to recover the victims' bodies has also begun but could take a couple of days.
As you can imagine, this is going to be a very extensive process. It's going to take not just days but weeks for us to recover from this.
On Saturday night, Bryant tweeted his congratulations to Lebron James after he surpassed Bryant on the NBA's all-time scoring list. Bryant, a 5-time NBA champion, played for the LA Lakers throughout his career and is considered one of the greatest players in the game's history. Mirasol Abogadil, UNTV, News and Rescue.
The death toll from a viral coronavirus outbreak in Wuhan, China has risen to 80 people as it expanded measures to keep people at home during what is usually the country's biggest holiday season. Meanwhile, China's Wuhan, another SARS treatment model hospital, Kath Dumaraos, details why.
The death toll from China's new coronavirus grew to 80 on Monday as the government said measures were being tightened to halt the rapid spread of the outbreak. The number of deaths from the flu-like virus in Hubei province climbed from 56 to 76 overnight, Health Commission officials said, with 4 deaths elsewhere. The total number of confirmed cases in China is now at 2,744. The Hubei city of Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak, is already under virtual lockdown with severe restrictions on movement in place in several other Chinese cities. Thailand and Hong Kong have each reported 8 cases of infection. The United States and Macau have 5 each. Taiwan, Australia, Singapore, and Malaysia each have reported 4. France and Japan, 3 each. Vietnam and South Korea, 2 apiece, and 1 in Nepal. Meanwhile, land leveling work has been finished at the second under construction hospital, which has been designed to receive coronavirus pneumonia patients in Wuhan, center of coronavirus outbreak in central China's Hubei province. Leishanshan Hospital is the second makeshift hospital being built in Wuhan, and the first one is called Huoshenshan Hospital. With a capacity of 1,500 beds, Leishanshan Hospital will be put into use on February 5th. Both of the two hospitals are constructed following the building model of the Xiaotangshan Hospital in Beijing. The Xiaotangshan Hospital was built in 7 days and admitted 1/7 of the SARS patients in the country within 2 months, creating a miracle in the history of medicine. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
Experts of the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, have successfully isolated the novel coronavirus in the environmental samples of a seafood market in Wuhan, indicating that the virus stems from wild animals on sale at the market. 33 of the 585 environmental samples collected from the Wuhan's Huanan Seafood Wholesale Market were found to contain 2 Filipinos in a city neighboring Wuhan City. The origin of a yet undetermined coronavirus call for assistance to be evacuated. Grace Casin will tell us why.
After reports of confirmed cases and death due to a new strain of coronavirus in Wuhan City, Hubei province in China, the city shuts its airports and railways. But even neighboring cities in the province have imposed a lockdown. Upon hearing the news of lockdown and due to fear of getting infected by the yet undetermined coronavirus strain, 2 Filipinos based in neighboring Jingzhou City rushed to pack their belongings to leave southern Hubei. But when Xiaoqin Canas and his companion arrived in Jingzhou Hubei train station, there were almost no passengers and the train are no longer allowed to travel.
Hindi kami nakasakay. Naklosan na kami. Kawawa naman kami dito. Wala na. Close na yung city namin. Lock na.
When the two returned to the hotel where they are staying at, there were no more hotel employees. Xiaoqin also says on the video he made and posted online, the city streets are now empty. Business establishments have also shut down.
Lahat sarado po, lahat established. Para pong ghost town.
Uncertain of how long it would take before they could leave Jingzhou City, the two bought food to consume for several days. On the video, Xiaoqin calls for help to be able to exit the city, which is just over 200 kilometers from the origin of the 2019 novel coronavirus. Xiaoqin adds the city that used to be bustling with cars is now empty. Roads have been covered with gravel to prevent any vehicles from traveling. UNTV News and Rescue have given Xiaoqin's contact details to the Philippine Consulate in Beijing for immediate coordination and assistance. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue.
Health Secretary Francisco Duque III confirms there are 2 patients under investigation in Metro Manila for 2019 novel coronavirus. Meanwhile, after several schools in Manila City suspended their classes, the health chief says there is no need to do so. Rosalie Cos explains why.
Persons are strictly being monitored by the Department of Health for the 2019 novel coronavirus or 2019 nCoV in Metro Manila. 1 patient under investigation is in Muntinlupa City and the other PUI is in Pasay City. In total, the DOH says there are 11 PUIs in the country. All have travel history to Wuhan City in China, where the 2019 nCoV originated. Most of the patients are Chinese. As of today, the DOH has recorded 1 PUI in Mimaropa, 3 in Western Visayas, 1 in Eastern Visayas, 3 in Central Visayas, and 1 in Northern Mindanao. Despite this, Health Secretary Francisco Duque assures the Philippines remains free of the deadly coronavirus.
PUIs, they're all isolated now, okay? So they're not in those areas at the moment. They're being, some of them discharged kung negative. Oo, yung mga negative din-discharge na. So there shouldn't be any cause for alarm just because we flush the areas where the PUIs come from. Doesn't mean that those areas are infected with the novel coronavirus, because there's none. We keep harping the fact that there's none. It's still 0 as of today.
The DOH once again reminds the public to maintain proper hygiene, including self-protection measures, and avoid handshakes for the meantime. Secretary Duque says he is unaware of the decision of some private Chinese Filipino schools in Manila City, which suspended their classes because of the 2019 nCoV. For the official, he does not see the need for the class suspension.
Insofar as the DOH is concerned, we're not aware of the reasons why they decided to suspend classes. There is no indication.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV, News and Rescue.
The Bureau of Immigration clarifies only 10 Chinese nationals who traveled from Wuhan City are left in Calibo, Aklan. The Health Department, meanwhile, assures they will travel back to China. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
Authorities have not declared health emergency in the Philippines as of yet, but government agencies in the country remain on alert due to a continuing increase in the number of 2019 novel coronavirus cases in other countries. Although there are positive cases of coronavirus in the Philippines, this does not mean the 2019 nCoV has reached the country, according to the DOH. The Health Department remains to be the lead agency in guarding, preventing the entrance of such cases and monitoring suspected cases in the Philippines. The DOH says it is in close coordination with other government agencies like the Disease Control and Prevention Bureau and the Bureau of Quarantine. According to Health Secretary Francisco Duque III, they are closely monitoring Chinese nationals from Wuhan City who are now in Calibo, Aklan in Western Visayas. The Health Department now has details about the said Chinese nationals to be able to conduct contact tracing.
Most of them, they'll be going back to China, to Wuhan. They're all monitored.
The 10 Chinese nationals said to have been no-show for their previously scheduled flight have not resisted from being sent back to their country, according to the Bureau of Immigration. They could not take their flight last week, the BI explains.
Upon verification po with our port op, 10 na lang po yung natitira na nandito who are scheduled to take a different flight po back to China. So ang balak po nila is through a different port sila babalik sa China.
The BI says there is no information that 10 Chinese nationals are infected with any strain of coronavirus. The BI appeals to the public to believe
po and the knowledge po para malaman at ma-determine kung sino po ba ang maaaring infected ng corona.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Airline Operations Council says that several airline carriers with China-bound flights record a significant drop in the volume of air passengers. Joanne Nano tells us why.
As the 2019 novel coronavirus continues to become a threat not just in China but also in other countries, several airline passengers with China-bound flights catered in Philippine airports are now suffering a significant drop in the number of air passengers. According to Airline Operators Council Chairman Alan Nepomuceno, many passengers have been canceling their flights due to fear of the deadly virus.
Several airlines already confirmed to us there about 70 to 80% of the passengers are not showing up. Or at least at the booking stage pa lang, wala ng mga pasahero.
Cebu Pacific and Philippine Airlines have announced that passengers who scheduled their flights from January 24 to February 29 may rebook or refund their flights without any additional charges. Affected passengers just have to coordinate with Cebu Pacific or PAL or contact their travel agencies. Civil Aeronautics Board Executive Director Carmelo Arcilla urges other carriers to do the same effort in order to prevent the entry of the 2019 nCoV in the country.
We call upon their sense of corporate social responsibility to rise to the occasion, and yun namang mga airlines, they heed our call and they rebook without penalties normally.
The Chinese government will implement a ban on international group travel in order to contain the coronavirus. Joanne Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up to where Angelo Castro III left off. I am Alex Baltazar, and here are the headlines. Angat Dam's water level decreases, but authorities say it is still enough for Metro Manila's consumption. Alert level on Taal volcano lowered as some residents are cleared to return. Local fishermen in Agoncillo, Batangas seek government aid to save their livelihood. And Batangueña uses ash from Taal volcano in her works of art. Good evening. A decrease in the water level of Angat Dam has been observed since yesterday, but authorities in the water sector say today's level may be enough for Metro Manila's consumption and irrigation. Ray Pelayo details why.
Angat Dam's water level is now at 203.28 meters. This means there was a decline of 5 centimeters from its level on Sunday. The Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration or PAGASA says this level is only 19 centimeters below its target or rule curve level today, which is 203.47 meters.
Siguro sa ngayon magtipid muna tayo sa tubig pa rin kasi para masiguro natin na pagdating talaga ng dry season, pagpasok ng March, April, May, may tubig tayo.
With the water level recorded today, normal operation of the dam to supply water for Metro Manila and irrigation may apply. National Water Sources Board Executive Director Sibilio David Jr. said they will finalize water allocation on Wednesday. The official adds the board may maintain the 42 cubic meters per second supply for customers' consumption in Metro Manila and 20 CMS for irrigation. According to water concessionaires, the schedule of their water service interruptions will not change should there be no changes in the allocation coming from Angat Dam. Some Maynilad customers may experience shorter hours without water supply if there is additional supply from Ipoh Dam.
Pag marami pa, puno pa ang ating mga reservoir, pwede po natin itong paagahin. Yung sabihin kung minsan 10 hours, pwede po natin itong gawin 8 hours.
No tropical cyclone that will affect the country in January is being observed by the Weather State Bureau. Based on its forecast, there is a possibility of one tropical cyclone to enter the Philippine area of responsibility in February. Ray Pelayo, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
An oil price rollback takes effect beginning Tuesday, January 28, 2020. This is the third consecutive week this year that a rollback is implemented amid the tension in the Middle East, particularly between Iran and the United States. Let's find out why from Asher Kadapan Jr.
The outbreak caused by 2019 novel coronavirus, first identified in Wuhan City, Hubei Province, China, has caused a decline in number of flights as well as economic deficit.
Nagkaroon ng impact kasi yung mga although hindi nagsabi si World Health Organization na wag mag-travel, but may mga consideration na iniwasan ng travel.
With a lower demand for petroleum products but an increased supply in the international market, oil prices have gone down.
Nagkakaroon siya ng impact na kung bababa yung demand doon sa malaking bansa na mayroong kaganapan, whether it's weather disturbance or mayroong health considerations, napupull down yung demand, and with the lowering of the demand, bumababa din yung presyo.
Beginning Tuesday, an oil price rollback will take effect. The price of gasoline per liter will be 30 centavos less, 40 centavos per liter for diesel, and 45 centavos per liter for kerosene. Based on the Department of Energy's record, from January 1st to the 20th, there had been 95 centavos per liter rollback for gasoline, 1 pesos and 50 centavos for diesel, and 1 pesos and 64 centavos for kerosene. This significantly helps cover the third tranche of excise tax being implemented on petroleum products this year. But the DOE warns oil companies about the proper way of applying the excise tax to the products.
Iisa-isahin natin yung mga produkto kung kailan sila mag-i-implement ng excise tax dahil ang pagkaubos ng old stocks ng gasoline ay hindi pareho ng panahon ng pagkaubos ng old stocks sa diesel or sa kerosene.
Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue, Taguig City.
Talisay City residents can return to their homes, but only for a few hours. Fissures have been observed on some houses and establishments in the city. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
Talisay City government is now implementing window hours from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 in the evening. With this, the residents grab the opportunity to visit and clean their houses. Besides thick ashes, the locals also found big cracks on the ground, as well as on the walls and floors of several establishments, such as the Barangay Poblacion 5 covered court. Domingo Batara, a resident of Barangay Poblacion 3, discovered fissures on his mother-in-law's house.
Nangangamba rin, kaya lang wala naman kaming ibang pupuntahan. Dito lang naman kami nakatira.
The fissures were caused by volcanic earthquakes caused by the Taal volcano. For some residents, the implementation of lockdown is favorable.
Handa kami sumunod kasi yun ang ng P-box eh. Wala kayong magagawa. May sasakyan naman kami pabalik ng evacuation center. Babalik na lang kami before ng 5. Hindi kami tutulog dito.
The residents who visit their homes during the window hours must return to the evacuation center on or before 5 p.m. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Philippine National Police will continue to maintain peace and order in areas affected by the Taal volcano eruption on January 12. Police personnel and their families affected by the eruption will be relocated to safe areas. Leia Ilagan tells us why.
The Philippine National Police will not recall their personnel deployed in Batangas. This is although PHIVOX downgraded the alert status of Taal volcano to alert level 3. PNP spokesperson Police Brigadier General Bernard Banac says the PNP forces still need to maintain peace and order even in areas where residents have been allowed to return to their homes.
Kailangan ma-maintain natin ang order at discipline sa lugar at ensure na walang mangyaring anumang pagnanakaw or kaguluhan.
The areas where displaced families may return home are Alitagtag, Balete, Cuenca, Lemery, Lipa City, Malvar, Mataas na Kahoy, San Nicolas, Santa Teresita, Taal, Talisay, and Tanawan City. On the other hand, the towns of Laurel and Agoncillo remain on lockdown. The policemen will also help in cleaning the areas affected by the Taal volcano eruption. General Banac further says the PNP have prepared relocation sites for almost 50 policemen affected by Taal volcano eruption. The PNP have housing projects in Laguna, Cavite, and Rizal provinces.
Police General RG Francisco Gamboa has instructed the PNP Housing Board to facilitate the relocation of PNP personnel residing within the Taal volcano danger zone into safer PNP off-base housing projects within the region.
Leia Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
And for the news abroad, working against the clock in freezing temperatures, Turkish rescue teams pulled more survivors from collapsed buildings Sunday, 2 days after a powerful magnitude 6.8 earthquake hit the country's east. Rescued survivors wept with gratitude for their efforts. Kath Dumaraos will tell us why.
Rescue efforts are continuing in eastern Turkey after Friday's magnitude 6.8 earthquake, which left 36 dead and over 1,600 others injured. A total of 45 people were rescued from ruins, and search and rescue operations are still going on in the debris of one building at the city center. The earthquake occurred in the province of Elazig at a depth of 6.75 kilometers and was followed by 788 aftershocks. The analysis of a total of 1,521 construction works in both Elazig and the nearby province of Malatya by experts revealed that at least 76 buildings were fully wrecked and 645 others were severely damaged. On Saturday evening, a 2-year-old girl was rescued from a collapsed residential building in Elazig City 24 hours after the quake, and she was in good condition. Her mother was later rescued from the same house.
We dug down from the collapsed building for 4 stories. Upon hearing the voice of the trapped people, we began to clear rubble and dug a new channel in the direction of the voice. Then we found the little girl and her mother. The girl's father and another child had died.
The residents of Elazig are now waiting anxiously by the quake-hit sites, hoping to hear good news of rescued survivors. Tato Maraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
A 50-year-old man who recently returned in Canada from a trip to Wuhan, China, is being held in isolation at a hospital after showing mild symptoms of the now spreading novel coronavirus. Grace Casson details this report.
Canada's chief medical officer said on Sunday that an individual who was declared the country's first presumptive confirmed case of the novel coronavirus had developed symptoms on the airplane while traveling from Wuhan, China to Toronto. The province of Ontario health officials on Saturday said a man in his 50s developed a respiratory illness after arriving in Toronto on January 22 from Wuhan and was being treated in a public hospital and in isolation. Teresa Tam, Canada's chief health officer, said the patient had mild symptoms while on the flight, though he did not report his condition after landing at the Toronto airport. The individual arrived via China Southern Airlines flight CZ311 from Guangzhou to Toronto. Tam said health officials are in early process of contacting other travelers on that flight. But Tam said other people on the flight or airport that were not close to the patient should not be overly concerned.
We're looking at 2-meter radius. So of course we'll be looking at the plane and its seating plan and where that patient was actually seated in order to trace the people who are surrounding or the passengers surrounding that. The main focus, of course, is on the actual fellow travelers because they have been in the most close and prolonged contact as well, or anyone who may have administered some sort of care to a passenger.
Canada's Health Minister Patty Hadjus said the National Microbiology Laboratory will take up to 24 hours to confirm the findings on the local laboratory. And once animal tests are confirmed positive, the Canada will announce its first confirmed case of the novel coronavirus. Canada is on high alert to prevent the spread of coronavirus and avoid a repeat of SARS or severe acute respiratory syndrome that killed 44 people in Canada, the only country outside Asia to report death from the virus in 2002 to 2003. Government health officials say Canada is better prepared this time. Grace Cassin, UNTV News and Rescue.
Filipino tourists in Hong Kong expressed dismay after the country's popular amusement parks announced it was shutting its doors this weekend until further notice. Stephanie C. details why.
Visitors to Hong Kong saw their travel plans suspended on Sunday as both Disneyland and Ocean Park closed down in the city until further notice. According to a statement by management, the Disneyland was closed down as a precautionary measure in line with disease prevention efforts taking place across Hong Kong. Travelers arriving at the closed entrance to Disneyland registered their disappointment. Carlos Donas, a 34-year-old salesman from Manila, had hoped to take his mother to the amusement park.
Of course, we're disappointed, especially it's my mom's birthday.
Maybe they must give more specific information than what if they close, then they know what day it will open. Because we are asking if they will open tomorrow, they don't know. So we are only staying here 4 days. It's our second day today. So we have nothing plans today to go because we are already here and we must go back to the hotel.
The Shanghai government said on Friday that Shanghai Disneyland will be closed from Saturday. China is on a 7-day Lunar New Year holiday that started on Friday, a period when the amusement parks would be usually packed with tourists. Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam on Saturday declared a virus emergency in the Asian financial hub, announcing a package of measures to limit the city's links with mainland China. Schools now on Lunar New Year holidays would remain shut until February 17, while inbound and outbound flights and high-speed rail trips between Hong Kong and Wuhan would be halted. Stephanie C., UNTV News and Rescue.
Filipinos Filipinos are known for extraordinary artwork. Last week, we showed an achievement made by a Filipino sculptor dubbed as the King of Ice Carvings for his award-winning frozen masterpiece. This time, we feature a natural pigment promoter who attempts to use volcanic ash in painting. And she says it is a success. Nina Armilio will tell us why.
For some, the ashfall caused by the Taal volcano's eruption last January 12 brings tears and sorrow upon seeing the damages on land and underwater. But a 24-year-old artist who hails from Tanawan, Batangas, saw the bright side of the phenomenon by using ash collected from their modest backyard in her artwork.
Actually, wala akong idea kung may gumagawa. Ang iniisip ko ng mga panahong yun, may mission to promote the natural pigments. So since galing to sa earth, the ashes, inano ko siya, yun nga, pinag-aralan ko.
The suffering endured by animals rescued from ashfall-stricken towns inspired the natural pigment artist to create masterpieces from volcanic ash.
So yung kirot na naramdaman ko nung nakikita ko yung mga hayop na yun yung parang pinapuputan ko ng inspirasyon na mai-push itong ash painting. Kasi kumbaga hindi lang para sa tao, kundi para din sa mga iba pang naapektuhan katulad ng mga hayop sa around Batangas.
Janina Sanico adds that her paintings bring a message that optimism is key in facing challenges and addressing woes.
So yung epekto ng ash, malaki talaga. Malaki yung masamang na epekto nito. Pero ang sa akin lang kasi, right now, isipin natin yung positibong maitudulot nito sa atin. So kaya nabuo itong ash painting. Gusto ko sana na pagdating ng panahon, itong problemang ito ay magamit nating paraan para matulungan yung ibang tao, specifically yung mga local artists natin dito using this ash from Taal volcano.
Janina wishes to donate part of the profit from the painting sales to her fellow Batangueños worst hit by the calamity. Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Welcome back to Y News. Local fisherfolk in a town in Batangas province grabbed the opportunity to return to their homes during window hours implemented by authorities. They call for assistance from the government to recover from losses. June Sorial tells us why.
These dead fishes are proof of deposits of ash spewed out by the Taal volcano on the shore of Taal Lake. Some barangays in the municipality of Agoncillo, situated west of the Taal volcano, has turned gray due to ashfall. Residents whose source of living in Taal Lake grabbed the opportunity to harvest fish from their fish ponds. Upon the visit their houses, they saw the roofs of their houses covered with ash. Some houses even collapsed due to recent volcanic activities.
Kahit bawal kami na singit makauwi dito at kumita na kaunti para malaman kami pambili ng gasolina, balik-balik.
This young man tried to save his boat engine buried in mud and ash. Another fisherman digs into sardines and instant noodles to survive the day. Local fisherfolk believe it might take years for them to recover from the effects of the ashfall.
Bago makarecover yung tao, manguhuli hanggang minahuli. Pag wala na, tapos na.
Agoncillo residents hope the volcanic activities will continue to decrease. This may be a hard time for Batangueños, but they remain strong and positive towards recovery. June Soriao, UNTV News and Rescue, Agoncillo, Batangas.
Malacanang insists President Rodrigo Duterte's decision to terminate the visiting forces agreement with the United States of America is a studied response. The chief executive had warned of terminating the VFA after the cancellation of the U.S. visa of Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa. According to the Duterte administration, the process of the termination has already begun. The palace says the VFA is an executive agreement and there is no need for the Senate approval. The visiting forces agreement between the Philippines and the United States gives special rights and privilege to American soldiers and civilian employees of the U.S. Department of Defense to visit the Philippines.
It is a studied response to acts that the President deems to be not only an intrusion, but an assault to the sovereignty of this country.
Meanwhile, here are Kobe's words as read by the actor in the film Dear Basketball.
Dear Basketball, you gave a 6-year-old boy his Laker dream. And we both know, no matter what I do next, I'll always be that kid with the rolled-up socks, garbage can in the corner, 5 seconds on the clock, ball in my hands. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Those are the reasons behind the news this January 27, 2020. On behalf of Angelo Castro III, I'm Alex Baltazar. And before we close, we will recap with today's significant sound bites. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
Our team will be looking at the history of the pilot and whatever crew was on board. We'll be looking at maintenance records of the helicopter. We will be looking at records of the owner and operator of the helicopter and a number of other things that we look at as part of the investigation.
As you can imagine, this is going to be a very extensive process. It's going to take not just days but weeks for us to get to recover from this.
We lost Kobe today. It's a very sad day for us in LA. It's not going to be the same without him now.
I mean, it's extremely tragic. He means so much, not just to the Lakers organization, but to the entire community of Los Angeles as a whole, the city, you know.
Los Angeles, America, and the whole wide world lost a hero. And we're literally standing here heartbroken in the house that Kobe Bryant built. Right now, Kobe and his daughter Gianna and all of those that have been tragically lost today are in our spirit, they're in our hearts.